Today we're going to talk about a SWOT analysis and why it is critical that you use it in your career effective now.
I'm Dr. C.
And I'm Dr. J.
And we are two doc minds, and today we're going to have an exciting discussion about SWOT analysis. This is an amazing tool that a lot of people could use in their profession to better their skill set, and also take a look at what different areas that you may be overlooking and use it as a way to find those little hidden gems that you may not be seeing right in front of you.
And if you're not using it right now in your career, you may be making the biggest mistake ever. And the reason why is it will help you make better decisions so that you can move up in the organization and so that you can get the dream job that you always want, but you have to start utilizing it right now. If you have used a SWOT analysis before, please put yes in the comment section.
Yeah, it's important to share your information, share your experiences. This is really a key component of why Dr. J and I are doing this video, because we want to hear about your personalized experience. And if you have not used SWOT and you decide to use it after this video, that would be some good information to hear from you too. So again, put it in the comments below. Or you can even email us. Our contact information is in our video, but get in touch with us so we can discuss all your experiences with others so we all can benefit from each other.
Because we're a family and we're learning together and growing together as a family.
Absolutely.
So next we want to jump in the SWOT analysis. We want to kind of highlight what the table is, and then we're going to get into some details about each area. So we're going to talk about our columns. There's two columns in the SWOT analysis. It's the helpful column, which is something that will help you achieve all the goals that you want. And then it's the harmful column, things that are in your way that will harm you or resist you from getting to where you want. Those are like the roadblocks in front of you. They may be there now, but there's a way you can push them out so that you can get to where you want to be.
Yes, it's important to know that these things look different for every professional. And this is very essential and why we're talking about it today, because it is a very good tool that you should be starting to use today, immediately, because it will separate the good from the bad.
And so the next is the roles. So we're going to talk a little bit about the roles. The roles are what we call internal, things that internally you can control, right? That will help you get to where you want. And those are your strengths and weaknesses, right? And then those are those external things that sometimes are external from your control that will help or harm you from reaching your goals. And those are those opportunities and threats. And I think, those are very critical to understand what's in your control, what's not, what is helpful, and what is harmful.
It's a very good tool. So let's get into it. So let's tell us, Dr. J, a little bit about what some of the helpful objectives are.
So we're going to first talk about our strengths, right? And that's something that we all know, we all recognize. But one of the things you have to know about your strength, you have to be honest about them. Sometimes I ask folks in interviews, what is your biggest weakness? And the biggest question I have is, I don't have any. Well, everybody has weaknesses. So one of the things that people is very conscious about their strengths, but sometimes they're not accountable to their weaknesses. But right now we're going to talk about strengths. So strengths are things that are helping you to achieve your objectives and is internal, meaning that you can control it. Some of the strengths when you're looking at a job is your skills and experience. You may have 10 years experience and some great skills and certifications in whatever it is that you're doing. And so you may have a great education, right? Those are all things that will be a strength in you getting to the next level. Your work ethic, you're known for coming in early, staying late, and pretty much doing what you have to do to get the job done. In many cases, we're called executionists, right? People that can execute. There's no better task in your job than executing on something without making a lot of excuses. Interpersonal skills, you may have a great personality. You may have a way to, talk to people and communicate. Those are all strengths. You may have had, performance reviews where they gave you 5 stars, exceed expectation, glowing reviews from your manager. That will help you. And then you may have a great network. You may know a few people. It's always said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So networking is critical. Those are all examples of strengths that you can use to get you to the next level.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the weaknesses that can occur. Taking an inventory of your weaknesses is something that's really critical in moving forward and challenge yourself and becoming a better professional. So what does that look like? And in this instance, some of your weaknesses can be very harmful. So an example of a weakness can be a skills gap. What does that look like to the average, professional? Skills gap, I think, essentially means that you are in a position or want a position and you are missing critical things to get the job done. So if you identify skills gap, it's critical and it helps you to actually take advantage of some of the opportunities that are ahead of you. So looking at a weakness such as that will help you to sharpen your skills, if you will. Another weakness that may occur for professionals is time constraints. Time constraints, meaning that you, don't have the time to manage your tasks, or you have the weakness of preparation. Being prepared is just, you'll hear it throughout your career. Preparedness is one of the successful techniques that everybody can have. So time constraints can be something that if you don't address, it will hurt you in the long run. A communication skills gap is another good example of being a weakness for certain people, because communication is key. If you heard that a lot, then probably you know how important it is. Lack of qualifications is another important one, and past performance issues. Wow. This is probably a highly ignored area, because when you hear from your boss and when you hear from people that work with you that your past performance is a reflection of who you are, you probably don't understand how that will impact you in the future. But if you identify it as one of your weaknesses, using the SWOT analysis, by the way, this is a tool that can help you to determine which way you can go and best utilize the skill set at your disposal to be better.
No, those are excellent points, Dr. C. And so now we look at things that are external to us, right?
Yes.
So these are all internal. So when you're looking at your strengths and weaknesses, those are all things that you control, right? You can build on your strengths, you can acknowledge those weaknesses, and then begin to making those weaknesses your strength. So, that's the most critical piece of this SWOT analysis, is looking at those weaknesses and making them a strength. And when you do that, you will move in your career where you want to go and how you want to go and when you want to go, because you're always self-improving. So those external things. So we're going to talk about helpful column with the external row, and that's opportunities, right? Right. So when you're looking at your career, we're talking about opportunities. So a job opens, right? I think I fit. That's an opportunity for you to, gain more experience, get more responsibility, to get the career growth that you want, right? But it's something external. You're not the hiring agent, and so you don't have control over it. And that's what we mean by external. You don't have the control over that decision, but you know and recognize it's an opportunity, and if I get it, it will help me, right, in meeting my goals and objectives, right? Company growth. Right? Company growth brings a lot of opportunities for new positions, new opportunities that open up. And so you may not have the decision making on how and who's going to create those opportunities, but those opportunities exist and are helpful for you to maneuver yourself so that you can take advantage of those opportunities as your company grows. Hopefully you can grow too, but you have to position yourself well. Training and development. Sometimes that's external. You can't control being offered some type of training or being offered some development, but sometimes you can control that because you can just take it upon yourself to pay for your own education. You can take it upon yourself to really invest in yourself. But sometimes, again, getting accepted into the university, you can't control. Getting accepted into a credentials program, you can't control, right? But you can control you wanting to go after that. Mentorship, right? Asking someone to be a mentor and getting that advice is so critical. We have a video on mentorship, so if you have seen the video, in the comment section, let us know, because there's some great tips around mentoring that Dr. C gave us. But mentoring is really critical. That's an external person giving us input on how we want to navigate our careers. And I think that's one of the things that you must do. And we talk about that in another video. And then networking, right? You'll go to the event, you're networking, you're having some great conversation, but you never can control the outcome. But what you can control is about putting that great impression out there, and then letting people know who you are and what you have achieved. I think that is most critical when you're looking at this.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for that. Now let's look at the other external factors that impact us in the SWOT analysis. And we're going to look at the threats. And surprisingly, the first threat that we're going to talk about is your competition. Competition is definitely a threat, but not in the way that I think that we pay attention to enough. I think one of our biggest threats when it comes to competition is ourselves. We're only competing against ourselves. Our biggest competitor is who we are and how we deal with problems as we encounter them. So when you look at this threat, look at it internally. Actually, this is an external threat that we're focusing on right now. But keep in mind that competition can be you at some times, but externally, it could be your literal competitors right next to you, or who are in the same field as you, or who are in the same industry or in the same company as you. So some of the external threats can be companies that are competing against you, and you have competing products. But taking this and using it towards your career, you look at people who are competing maybe for the same job classification as you, who are maybe like trying to get the same certifications as you. So take a note of what your true competition is and use it to your advantage. The next threat, that is an external threat, let's keep that in mind, are economic conditions. This is not in our control because this is an external threat. But even though it's not in your control, you should take note of it and know the steps that you're going to use to address this type of threat, this economic threat. So I would look at this as, okay, we have bad economic conditions that's not in my control at this time. But some of the steps that I could take at this time is maybe save more money, reduce my spending, or live in cheaper housing, or increase my savings. So know that when you encounter these threats, these external threats, even though they're not in your control, there are things that you can do to mitigate their damage. And then another external threat that we're taking a look at is company culture. Company culture is something that we cannot control because essentially the leaders that exist inside corporations are the ones that set the tone for the culture. So this is an external component of a threat that impede on your progress as a professional. So what do you do to address this company culture that may be out of your control? You learn how to navigate yourself, know how to look at yourself and see how I can exist in this company culture. That's why it's a threat, because you have to recognize that it's not in your control again, and you have to decide how are you going to move, in which direction, and how are you going to best address your inability to control the company culture, and how do you fit in it, or how do you remove yourself from it? There's some decisions that need to be made. This is why this tool is a must-use tool at this time, because it gives you information that will help you make decisions in your professional career. Another threat is change in leadership. Kind of like company culture, you can apply it to the same kind of understanding as company culture. Change in leadership is something that is an external threat to you in your professional career. That whether you're a contractor in an organization, or you are an employee of an organization, or you're just starting out in your career, a change in leadership can impact you, because generally leadership guides where something is going, where a business is going, or whatever the case may be. So this helps you to determine, as an external threat, which way you're going to move, how you're going to make a decision. How's the change in leadership going to impact you in making your decisions about your professional setting?
Yeah, and it also can harm you in the sense that a new leadership they may bring a new regime in, they may bring some new talent in, they may change the direction of the company, and maybe what you're doing was effective with old leadership, but not effective with new leadership. So that's, I think, Dr. C, one of the other things that I would even add to that.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways that you can apply this SWOT analysis to assessing how to best make decisions. This is all about decision making. So you do make a good point there, Dr. J. So the last external factor that has to do with this situation is external factors.
Yeah, and those are just things and trends and regulations. For instance, I worked in the utility business for a little bit, and the federal government would change their regulations. Nothing we can do, right, because it was done at a different level. But we had to make adjustments to our operations, to our capital program, to our business program. So those are all just external factors. You may have the Supreme Court change a law, and that law affects your business because that law changed, and now we have to do something different. For example, Supreme Court just changed affirmative action laws, right? So college admissions have to change. So all colleges now have to change that, something that they couldn't control, but they didn't have to adjust. So those are all external things that you don't have control on. You're living your day-to-day life. Someone makes a decision, and next thing you know, you have to make a pivot within your career or your organization.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, how do I, as somebody who's trying to make a quick decision at this time, decide which way is the best way to focus on, which area of my career is the best way to focus? Again, this SWOT analysis helps us all put all the inventories together, whether it be harmful or helpful, or external or internal, and really align our ducks. And so we can really attack it in a way that's strategic.
And that's the reason why we say, if you haven't included a SWOT analysis in your everyday life, whether that's personal or professional, you're cheating yourself on being able to make totally well thought out decisions. And normally, right, when you're creating well thought out decisions, you're making great decisions now, but in the future, you're not making emotional decisions. And so when you're making those type of decisions, you get outcomes faster and you get outcomes that you want in most cases. And I got to tell you, I put a SWOT analysis thinking in my decision making around 2010, 2011. And in my career, within 6 months of me putting a SWOT analysis in it, I had a promotion and I started at a new organization. It was in utility. I implemented SWOT analysis. I started knowing nothing about the organization. And in 5 years, I was leading. And it was because I used a SWOT analysis to help guide my decision, not only in my work, but me as a person, how I approach my professional life and my personal life, and when I made decisions in my work life. It was that critical. And I'm hoping that you take this tool and you implement it in your life so that you can get all the outcomes that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note that anything that you implement new into anything that you do, it's important and key for you to do it often. Practice makes perfect. If you don't utilize this and put it, implement, like we said, today, this is one of the tools that you should use because I use it as well. Today, practice, it's going to go to waste and you're not going to see the benefit of it. Anything worth doing and worth doing well is you doing it over and over and over and over again.
And over again.
And that's going to make you better. It's the discipline of actually putting it into play, actually seeing it work, or seeing how you can improve that technique and just keep honing the skill. So SWOT analysis is one of those things that will help you to, again, take an inventory of all you are as a professional, all the good things, the bad things, the not so good things that you can improve on and move forward in your career.
And so, again, if you have used a SWOT analysis in your career, in your personal life, let us know in the comments section. We thank you all for listening to us. I'm Dr. J.
I'm Dr. C.
Welcome to Two Doc Minds, and we want you to like,
comment,
and subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we got a whole bunch of great content that's coming to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.